Hey everybody, I'm Philip. Again, I'm on lesson 3 for beginning piano students now. And you're just seeing me for just a minute. Don't worry, you're going to get to see the piano, and we're going to be learning a little bit about how to read written music today. Music is just like any language. It's written down on paper, on the computer screen, whatever, and we need to learn to read it. And there are some ways of teaching yourself to learn this. So let's take a look at some music. This is a file that I have created that we're going to use to learn where some of the notes are. This is something that if you'd like this file, I can share this. It's public domain. It's a simple file I've created. It gives you the notes on the staff as well as note values. For this lesson, we're going to be talking about the notes on the staff. And so the staff means the 5 lines and 4 spaces that you see. When you see this, in between here, in between all the notes. For piano, we play something called the grand staff. The grand staff is 2 or more staffs put together. They will generally be connected by this brace here. This little curved line here, this is a brace. It connects all of the staves in a grand staff. On the top, we have this kind of squiggly line here. This is called treble clef or G clef. This was originally called a G clef. It has the similar shape to a G. I know a lot of you are thinking, but it looks like a J and a Q and an O and an S, but it originally was a G. If you follow this around here, you can see how it looks like a G. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this section here. So if I followed this around and use this second line up to create a G, guess what note goes on this line? G. So if I was to move this note up here, this is a G. This is the G above middle C. Now, we need to learn where middle C is first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Middle C is going to be this first line below the staff in the treble clef. Now, in case you haven't remembered where middle C is going to be the C closest to the middle. Remember to find the 2 black notes closest to the middle and go just to the left to find C. Now, if you're not very quickly finding C, keep doing the same lessons that I gave you for this in my lesson 2. And it's the second lesson about how to remember the notes on the keyboard. Go back to that one. So there's middle C. And this is what middle C looks like in the treble clef. This line here is called a ledger line. In the bass clef is your low notes. These low notes are going to be everything below middle C. The bass clef also looks like a letter. Kind of looks like a cursive capital F. So the line here, this line, if you think of this line as part of the symbol, it shows you where F is. And this is the F below middle C. And again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's find out where middle C is. It's right here. It's this ledger line above the staff. Now I know you're thinking, but these 2 notes are not in the same place. They're not, because the bass clef and treble clef are separate. But in between the 2, you have middle C. Easy way to remember it. Think of middle C as the middle of the treble and bass clef. If I keep going up further in bass clef, I get into the treble clef notes. These 2 notes are the same. If I get lower, my treble clef gets into the bass clef notes. Okay, so some other things to know about staff writing. If I was to move a note, I'm going to use my bass clef. I can move this note into any of the lines or the spaces. This is how we tell what note or pitch or whatever that we're going to play or sing on whatever instrument. We're talking about piano, but this is going to be used for any instrument. If you are playing the trumpet, you'll use treble clef. If you're playing the tuba, you'll use bass clef. If you're playing the violin, you'll use treble clef. If you're playing the cello, you'll play bass clef. If you're playing the viola, unfortunately, you won't use these two clefs. You'll use another clef. That's for another day. So this is how we get the notes. Now, how are we going to tell what note is what? There are some tricks to this. So I'm going to give you two different tricks. One of them is intervals. Intervals just means the distance between the notes and the direction. So if I was to go from here to here, I'm going a step down. I'm going down to the next nearest note. And in this case, just think of it as white notes right now. And move down again. Notice how it just keeps moving down. So it just keeps moving down there. If I take this one, it's the same thing. Here's middle C. I moved it up a step. Moved it up another step. Moved it up another step. Now let's take this another way. If I take this note and go from C, I go to the next line. I just skipped a note. We'll call this a skip. I call that another skip. Skipping a note. This is an essential way of learning to sight read music quickly. Let me show you another way. If we look at the spaces in treble clef, let's just focus in on these. These four notes right here. F, A, C, E. Spells face. Really easy to remember. Let's find those notes on your keyboard though. Here's the first F. So remember, this is above middle C. So if you still haven't memorized these, again, go back to lesson 2, but you can also say C, D, E, F. Now, here's what we're going to do to remember these. We're not just going to remember that it's face. What we're going to do is we're going to take these notes and we're going to play them. F, A, C, E. And you're going to say it out loud. So say it out loud with me. F, A, C, E. Do that at least 10 times a day while looking at those notes on the staff and looking at where your finger is playing. Now you noticed I just played with one finger. This is one of my tricks. If you are able to move along the keyboard with one finger and find the notes, it's much better than just finding a hand position and going F, A, C, E, because then it becomes a hand position. We don't want anything to just become a hand position. F, A, C, E. Let's go to the bass. You can do the same thing here. Now, of course, this is not a word. There's lots of things you can do. What I suggest is coming up with a sentence with these 4 letters that you are going to remember. So the standard old school one is all cows eat grass. All cows eat grass. There's lots of other ones you can use. So let's take this note. Let's find the note for A, or all. Now you notice how much further down below middle C it is, so it's not going to be the A just below middle C, but you can find it this way. C, B, A. Now, go down an octave. Octave just means go down to the next nearest note, then with the same letter name. So this is your A for all cows eat grass. We're going to do this. All cows eat grass. Now, because we're using a mnemonic device, we're going to also say A, C, E, G. And we're doing this with our left hand now. Don't do this with your right hand. Left hand will play the low notes, right hand are playing the high notes for now. All cows eat grass. A, C, E, G. Saying it out loud is incredibly helpful to learning. Now, You're not going to remember these in just one day. Well, you might. If you're like me, it's going to take a while. But if you do this every day, you will start to remember where these notes are in relation to where they are on the staff. There's also tricks for the line notes. You can do the same thing. Come up with a sentence. Every great burger deserves fries is one. Every good boy does fine. Bass Clef. Great big doves fly away. That's one of mine. Good boys do fine always. That sort of thing. You just want to find a sentence that works for you. It doesn't have to be one of the old school ones. It doesn't have to be something that I give you. You can use whatever sentence you want, then find that G. It's just one step below the A we found. Remember how we find things by intervals? If you look at where that A is and compare it, here's the A, here's the G. It's just a step down. Great big doves fly away. Do that every day, 10 times a day. I also just suggest sticking to one of these until you learn it, and then moving to the next one. Hope that this was helpful to you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments box below. This file here, if you would like it, I will make this public on my website so that you'll be able to download this easily. And if not, you don't have to. You can just come back to this video and look at it through there. I'll have lesson 4 up very soon. I'm going to try to put a new lesson on at least 4 to 5 days every week. So I'm gonna start building up a giant library of lessons for you, and I hope that these are going to be helpful for you. Thank you.